Hello, welcome to this lecture. This should be the lecture on January 13th, Thursday. And first of all, let me go through my schedule and our office hours. So since January 19th, hopefully next Wednesday, we will go back to normal. I will go to the campus. So the office hours will be from 12:30 to 2 p.m. every day except Friday. And here is my schedule. It also attached on my door. So welcome to my office hours. If you don't have time in the afternoon, you only have spare time in the morning, you can send me an email and make an appointment to make sure I am in the office. So before January 19th, if you have a question, send me an email with your question. All right, let's go to lecture 1. So lecture 1 is about the introduction of this course and of this subject, engineering management. And it basically answered the question, what do engineers do? And what do engineering managers do? So this is part 1 of this course. We have altogether 4 parts. And part 1 is about the introduction of the subject and the history of engineering management. And it's about chapter 1 and chapter 2. And in this lecture, we will finish chapter 1. That is from page 4 to page 17. And this is our schedule again. Lecture 1 is this lecture. And also next lecture, we will use the same slides. But this lecture, we are going to introduce the subject. And in next lecture, with the same slides, we will go through the history about engineering management. And the reading about this lecture, after this lecture, read chapter 1, and after next lecture, read chapter 2. So here are the questions for the day. 1, why is engineering management different than management? 2, compare and contrast the role of engineer with the role of the manager. How are they similar and how are they different? 3, how does the job of supervisor or first line manager differ from that of a middle manager? And 4, what are the 3 types of skills needed by an effective manager? So with the introduction of this lecture, we will touch these questions, but at the end, we will summarize them. So first of all, here is the engineering activities within a division of a large corporation. This is from a book published in 1976. So this is about the traditional industries. Most big companies have this structure or the division of their functions. At the top, there's a top manager or CEO. And right below the CEO, there are different VPs in charge of different functions. For example, the VP of administration, who's in charge of the technical service, management service, industrial relations. By that time, this part belongs to the administration. And then there's VP of marketing in charge of product planning, marketing analysis. And there are surely more of them nowadays. And the VP of contracts and pricing, in charge of contracts management and subcontracts and purchasing. And of course, pricing, and so on. So each of these functions have vertical divisions of their job, and also they have horizontal collaborations among those different functions. for example, this purchasing under the VP of contracts and pricing may have close collaborations with the supply support here under the VP of product support or logistics. And also this industrial relations under the VP of administration may have close collaborations with the VP of marketing in charge of the public relations, and so on. You may feel there are a lot of levels, a lot of different jobs vertically under each function. Yes, it is, because by that time, the traditional industries are not as flat. The structure is not as flat as today's organization. And here is the selection of engineering roles in today's business, like Amazon, who is a kind of a new tech company in the e-commerce. So in Amazon today, below the CEO, there are the CEOs in charge of different functions, or SVP. I guess that's the senior vice president. And the things they are in charge of are obviously flatter than the traditional industries. For example, the SVP in charge of international retail manage the sales engineers below him internationally. And the SVP plus the chef of financial officer in charge of auditing the engineers. Audit engineers. And also they have horizontal collaborations among different functions, and some personnel belong to multiple functions. So that is today's business. What is the definition of management? So in different industries or in different subjects, there may be different definitions. And in some definitions, you need to list what is the job range of management. Here are some examples: organizational or administrative process, group running an organization, and also it means an occupational career of an individual. So we have more definitions on page 9. For example, being a respected and responsible representative of the company to your subordinates, or getting things done through people. That is very straightforward definition. So you can have different definitions also in different industries. You may have different understandings of what management is. This is from our course, engineering management. But if you come to a business school in an MBA class, they may give you a totally different definition. But that is from different perspectives. What similar is they all get things done by people. They all purchase profit. They all try to keep their customers happy by delivering qualified product on time. They all direct the actions of a group to accomplish a desired goal, a common goal. And they all make their company sustainable and profitable, some kind of common definitions. All right, so since management is an activity, it's a function, there are different levels of management in our organization. There are 3 levels. First, the first line managers include foreman, supervisor, section chef, etc. So for the first line manager, they carry out plans. They may not make the plans. Sometimes they make, sometimes they don't. But they all carry out the plans, and they make short-range operating plans. And they are kind of in the middle between the first-line workers, who are sometimes their former co-workers with the same level of them. But after they are promoted as the first line manager, their workers suddenly become their subordinates. So they are between their former co-workers and their current upper managers, who are sometimes middle managers. So both the co-workers and the upper managers may feel the line managers are with them, are representing them. This is kind of tricky. They all feel this is my person, this is my man. But actually, the first line managers can be against to both of the parties. So their interpersonal skills and technical skills should help them to resolve these problems and make the two parties all feel this man is representing us. We need to support him. We need to listen to them. All right. And on the above of the first managers, there are middle managers. Usually they can be plant manager, division heads, chef engineers, operations managers. So middle managers in big companies are with the most levels. There are a lot of people whose title is with manager, financial manager, human resource manager, some kind of those titles, and with a lot of different levels. But usually in a big company, these middle managers include a lot of different levels. Their numbers may be not the most. Actually, the first line managers will be the most in the company, but middle managers spread in all kinds of different levels. So they are the indirect managers, which means they manage employees through other managers. They get the first line managers to do things for them. The first line managers need to get the first line workers to do things for them. And middle managers make intermediate range plans, not too short range, not too wide range. So when I say short range or broad range, it means both in time and space and money and the amount of resource. So they make intermediate range plans, and also they need to integrate and coordinate the short range activities from the line managers with the to achieve the long range goals of the organization. And nowadays, because companies become more flatter, the number of middle managers and the number of the levels of the middle managers are decreased, especially for the e-commerce companies, the internet companies, and some new tech companies. So on the above is the top manager. Top managers can be chairman of the board, president of a company, executive vice president, or CEO. And top managers theoretically have no full-time manager above them. They are at the very top. And what they do is they need to define the character, the mission, and the goals of their organization. Sometimes with others, the board of region, sometimes by themselves. And also they need to establish the criteria for long-term, long-range plan and evaluate whether they fulfill the plan and handle the direction, handle whether they are going to the future they plan to. So that's what top managers do. So given we have multiple levels of the managers, the skills required in each level are also different. What's similar is there are 3 types of skills. So all kinds of different skills are required for a manager, but those skills fall into 3 types: the technical skills, interpersonal skills, and conceptual skills. However, no matter which level you are in, as long as you're a manager, you need all 3 types of skills. but the amount of each type is different from level to level. It doesn't mean that the top managers don't have much technical skills. It's just that they are not required to use their technical skills very often and a lot. So, and all of them need interpersonal skills, which are some skills to deal with interrelationship with other people. Although the amount is about similar, the exact skills type within this category may be different. In the first line managers, they need to coordinate their former co-workers and their upper managers to make both of them feel him or her is representing them. However, on the top level, they also need interpersonal skills, both to the middle manager, to their subordinates, and to some competitors, to some compartments of other enterprises, to the outside world. So what is conceptual skills? Conceptual skills is when you meet a situation, when you meet some problem, or when you meet some opportunity, you can conceptualize it. You can know the essence of what it is. You can see what is happening behind it. What is exactly, what does it exactly mean? So that is conceptual skills. And Robert Katz, this is from Robert Katz, who is an American novelist and screenwriter who proposed something very interesting in business. This is from his theory. So what are the managerial roles? Given there are 3 types of skills, different levels of manager need, there are also different types of roles that management need to have. This is proposed by Harry Mintzberg. Harry Mintzberg is a Canadian academic and author in business and management. So first role is the interpersonal role. So interpersonal role may have different focuses as you play the different role. As a figurehead, you may care more about the image and outward relations of the company. Or as a leader, leader is a broad idea. Everybody can be a leader, even you are not a manager. However, if you are in a leading role, that you can be defined as a leader. And as a leader, you may care more about the people below them, the things below them, how to motivate them, how to drive them to get things done willingly. That's what leaders' role. And as a liaison, maybe cares more about the horizontal relationship and networking. So it doesn't mean one person can only play one role here. Sometimes a person may play multiple roles. And as they role, their concerns and focus may be different. And the second role is the informational role. That is how to pass the information, how to distribute the information, how to collect the information. So as a monitor, he or she may care more about the internal and external information collection. Of course, monitor, that is in his name. And as a disseminator, it's more about transmitting information inside the organization. And mainly it's about top-down. Occasionally it's a bottom-up transmission of information to know what the frontline managers or frontline workers think, to know something, to know some truth. But mostly it's about top-down, how to disseminate information from the top manager to the lower levels. And as a spokesman, he or she may provide information to the outside world to show the image, to show what the company thinks and plans, mostly positively. And the third role is decisional role. So as an entrepreneur, it means how to initiate a change and how to predict different risks due to the change. And as a disturbance handler, a manager needs to resolve the problems or crises to save the company, to save the organization from a certain situation. And as a resource allocator, it may require him or her to allocate or reallocate different resources such as time, money, human resource, machines, equipment, all kinds of resources. How to distribute them timely or spatially or with different functionalities. And also another sub-role of decisional role is a negotiator. As a negotiator, you need to negotiate both inside or outside to get things done, to maybe negotiate for more resource, and to negotiate to give permissions that what we can do on time, what we can promise or not. So that is a negotiator. Different companies, different organizations have different powers of negotiation. For example, as Walmart or Amazon, they can negotiate with their suppliers for a later payment day and negotiate for more benefits. And also they can negotiate inside with their employees to squeeze their employees' benefits. We hope they don't do that, but actually every company do that. That's a reality. And to the downstreams, they negotiate with their customers if they have enough power. And what is tricky is that their customers sometimes don't realize their benefits are squeezed by them. So negotiation power is quite different from industry to industry, from company to company, and sometimes in the hidden manner. So those are the three roles from Mintzberg theory. So here, let's introduce the functions of managers. So we talk about the levels of different managers, the different types of skills, different levels of managers need to have, and then the roles of management. And here's the functions of managers. This is proposed by Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol is a French engineer and also an executive and author in mines industry. So this man should be quite familiar with our students because we are SD mines. And Fayol proposed his theories, and some people call it Fayolism. And Fayol is a parallel fellow with Taylor's scientific management. We will talk about it in the next lecture. And his Fayolism is kind of independent with Taylor's scientific management at the same time. So some people refer Fayol as another founder of modern management methods. And what he proposed are 5 functions of management: planning, organizing, command, coordination, and control. Planning or forecasting and planning include setting objectives or goals, and evaluate or choose the action to reach those goals. And then is organizing. Organization includes dividing the work into tasks and projects. Appoint subordinates responsible for each element of work. Ensure staff have the necessary skills and resources they need. These have some similarities with Taylor's scientific management. Taylor's scientific management is to divide a job into different elements and make the right sequence of those elements, get rid of the unnecessary management elements, and analyze the remaining elements to make sure people follow the standard guidance. So a little bit similar with this here. And the next function is command, giving instructions to subordinates to carry out the task, and delegate authority to subordinates so that they can command others. This is for at least the middle level managers. So they can give the authorities, delegate the authorities to the line managers, so the line managers can further divide work and give command to their subordinates. And then it's coordination. It's mainly about ensuring all staff working towards the common goals. And finally, it's the controlling, which is setting targets. So this setting targets is a little bit different than this set objectives, because objectives is kind of a final goal, an ultimate goal of the year or of several years. How much profit should we reach? How much market share should we expand? Or something like that. And this setting targets is kind of more is realized into the goals of each department are more concrete. For example, how much sales should we finish by each season? For example, in a supply chain function, it means how much on-time delivery rate we should reach or improve by the end of the year. Those are the targets. And then measuring the outcome and compare with the targets. That's the evaluation. And this evaluation is, that's the evaluation. And then taking remedial action to deal with the divergence of actual from target performance. If after half year we feel we cannot finish the annual goal, how should we adjust our current work to make sure we can catch up and finish by the end of the year? So that is what this do. So you may feel this is a little bit military kind of work, such as command, such as control. So nonsense. Another person, Harold Cohns, proposed another types of 5 functions of managers. So Harold Cohns is an American organizational theorist, and he's a professor of business management at UCLA. Also, he's a consultant for different firms, big firms. We will talk about him and his theories a lot in this course later. So what he proposed is similar yet different from Fayol's 5 functions. He proposed planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. And here staffing is under organizing. And what does each function do? Include, for planning, the answers what, when, and how. So that is the plan to help them realize these 3 questions. Through acting out this plan, we need to know what to do, when to do them, how to do them. And then it's organizing. Organizing includes recruitment, sales, marketing, production, operations. This is quite modern structure of a company. And also staffing is also a function you can see it below organizing. Staffing is about people. So organizing is more about things, activities, and staffing here is more about people. Hiring or promotion, training and development, remuneration or compensation, or in other words, salaries and benefits, and performance. So staffing, this is kind of the 4 subdivisions of human resource department in a modern company. Usually in big enterprise, in a big organization, within the HR department, they divide these 4 functions. They may have the manager for recruiting, manager for the internal training and human development, a manager for salaries and benefits. And also there's another manager in charge of evaluating people's performance and make performance target for those people. And next is directing or leading. In our textbook, in most of the books and publications, they name it leading. And Kong himself proposed it as leading. And somehow I found this picture. There's just one difference is it make the leading as directing here. So it should be leading. Includes supervising, motivation, leadership, and guide. So there are similarities and differences between these 4. Supervising is kind of more like the what the line managers do to their subordinates. Motivate is what leaders do. They don't only get people do things for them, they also make people want to do those things, not only for the company, but also for themselves. So motivation is kind of a mutual thing. On one hand, people want to do it as a contribution to the organization. On the other hand, people do it because they can get something from it. They can gain something. So that's how motivation works. And then there's leadership. Leadership is very abstract. Leadership is kind of include all the other 3 here. And also, you don't have to be a manager to have leadership. If you're an expert in a field and people turn to you for help, you are a leader. You play the leadership role. Or if you are very welcome in an organization, people listen to your idea, people depend on you to do something, so they follow you, then you're a thought leader. That is leadership. You don't have to be the highest level of the person in that group. You already play the leadership role. And then that is guide. Guide is also somehow you can guide people to do something by instructing exactly what step they should follow, or you can guide people conceptually by telling them, by motivating them of what they should do. So that is guide. And there is controlling. This is the same with fails theory. It includes measuring performance, correcting any deviation, and archiving the target. So this measuring for performance is this measuring performance is a little bit different from the performance here under staffing. This is making or evaluating people's performance. And here, under controlling, is evaluating performance of a whole organization. What they have done, how much do they finish, and is their performance in line with their goal currently? And if there is a deviation between what they have done and what their target is, correct it immediately. Either correct their activities, their plan, or correct their target, their goals. Of course, if there's a deviation between the two, you need to at least correct one of them. And then archiving the target. So that is controlling. So this is from Kuhn's, and mostly in this book, we will follow Kuhn's definition of the functions of managers here. All right, so then let's talk about what is engineer management and what do engineers do? And is engineer management an art or science? So here's some answer, and here are maybe more thoughts of it. First of all, engineer management is about direct supervision of engineers or of engineer functions. Or it can be application of quantifiable methods and techniques to practice of management. So it means the activities, roles, and functions of engineer manager can include two parts, at least two parts here. One is the actual action, which is direct supervision of something. Another is how you carry out or apply something in reality. And here is the answer, one of the answers of one of our questions for the day. Engineering managers are distinguished from other managers because they possess both the ability to apply engineering principles and skill in organizing and directing people and projects. So this can help answer what's the difference between an engineer manager and a manager, a general manager. And as to whether engineering management is art or science, of course, whenever you ask this question, you know the answer is it's about both art and science. And it does not only require the school education, some professional education, the formal education, which means you need to have a degree in engineering or management or engineer management, but also it requires some personal studies, learning by doing, some apprentice experience, and a lot of thoughts in it. So engineering management is a joint subject, and it's a cross-discipline. It requires the knowledge and skills in both business and engineering. Here we can see that in the business world, it's more about the business functions, marketing, accounting, finance, economics, administration. And in engineering function of the same organization is about advanced design and research. However, engineering management bridges the gap between the two. It can translate from one language to another. It can help people from different functions understand each other's work, commission, goals, and what they can do or cannot do. So what they do is they care more about production and operations, which is to finish something here by realizing something here. And also management project engineering. And here is the role of engineer management between these two worlds. And here's the field of engineer management. This is a map of showing what's the relation between engineering and business management. So to the left is about traditional engineering discipline. It's all kinds of engineering. You need to know the technical know-how, the theories, the mathematics. That is a certain subject of engineering, for example, civil engineering, mechanical engineering. So those are numbers, equations, techniques, skills, tools. And between engineering and engineering management, you need to gradually know something about management within an engineering discipline. And then there's engineering management, which is a bridge between engineering and business management. So within engineering management, it's more about the management across engineering disciplines. For example, make civil engineers talk to mechanical engineers, make chemical engineers talk to industrial engineers. So engineering management partially play the role of manage those engineers in different functions, in different disciplines. And then between the engineering management and business management, here's the management of technology. So technology of management and management of technology are two different things. Management of technology means here are some technologies and you need to use your management knowledge. You need to act something to manage those technologies. And on the other hand, technology of management is if you want to play your management role, you need some methods, tools, ideas to help you realize that. That is technology of management. And to the right is the general management. So here it belongs to the business management at the very top level, at a very conceptual and level with some dreams, ideology, strategy, those kind of things. All right, here's the organization of this course. Because we have said that we have 4 parts of this book, of our course. And chapter 1 and chapter 2 is part 1. And here are the part 2, 3, and 4. So for part 1, it's about the introduction and history of engineering management as a subject. That is chapter 1 and chapter 2, not listed here. And then there's management functions. That is from chapter 3 to chapter 8. And then our midterm will be about part 1 and part 2. And next is part 3, managing technology. That is the certain technologies, methods, tools, etc., to realize some management role. Include research, design, production, quality, marketing, project management, and that is from chapter 9 to chapter 15. And next, part 4 is some personal technique about engineering management, including ethics, time management, career. So that is chapter 16 to chapter 18. So we only have 1 lecture for all these 3 chapters here. And then part 3 and part 4 here are the second half of the semester. And in our final exam, there will be 80% of the second half of the semester, and then still 20% of the first half. This is the arrangement of this course. All right, so let's look at some famous industrial engineers have some super contributions to our world. First, Eli Whitney. This guy invented the cotton gin. And I believe this belongs to the first industrial revolution. If you have interest, welcome to read more about them. Google them and read some publications about their contributions. Henry Ford innovated moving assembly line for mass production. And Lillian Gilbreth, finally we have a female engineer here. And she is the mother of modern management. And then she ended up working for GE. She and her husband are both famous industrial engineers. And we have Alphonse Chapenas. He's the pioneer of ergonomics. And he wrote the first book about ergonomics. And he published something about human factors. And then this guy, everybody knows him, Tim Cook, who's the CEO of Apple. And he's an industrial engineer major, famous for optimizing the complex systems and eliminating waste. So I think he's just famous of being the CEO of Apple. All right, so let's summarizing the answers for the questions for the day. First, why is engineering management different than management? You can expand this answer, but this is kind of the most general answer we can have here is engineering managers possess both engineering and management skills. Second, compare and contrast the role of engineer with the role of manager. How are they similar and how are they different? So first of all, both professions are closely involved with decision-making, analysis of data, and process design. So actually, not only engineers and managers, some other professions may also touch upon the decision-making, analysis of data, and process design. But what the detailed content and what their mission and focus may be different. And then engineers, although engineers and managers, both of them work to achieve desired results, engineers tend to focus more on equipment used to achieve those results. Actually, they focus more on equipment, machines, methods, technologies, time, resource, anything but people. And managers focus more on people and sometimes money. So from here, this is one of the differences between the role of engineers and managers. And two groups differ further in that the job of managers change materially at different levels. Well, engineers tend to remain more similar until the engineer moves into an engineering management or management position, which means for different levels of managers, their working content may be different. The skills required may be different. However, as an engineer, no matter you're an entry-level engineer or junior engineer or senior engineer, as long as you only focus the engineering function, your role is more similar, more maintained. You may be more expert, have more expertise in your function as you become a senior engineer. However, your role and your working content may be within the same range. That's the difference. 3, how does the job of supervisor or first line manager differ from that of a middle manager? So first line manager, they are concerned more with the performance of their direct reports in their direct roles to complete the work of the organization. And they focus less on the direction of the organization, but they focus more on implementing the decisions of those higher levels. So in a word, they focus more on getting things done, but less than whether this is the right thing to do in terms of the enterprise future. However, middle managers need to get things done through others, or through others, and then those others should get things done through others. So they often focus more on the direction of the organization. So they focus less on that than the top managers, but more than the first line managers. When they get things done, they don't only evaluate whether they have done it correctly or on time. They also evaluate whether getting this done contribute to the company's whole picture. So that's the difference. 4, what are the 3 types of skills needed by an effective manager? The 3 types of skills are technical skills, interpersonal skills, conceptual skills. However, the amount required with each level is different. Lower level managers rely more heavily on technical skills and have a lower need for conceptual skills. This balance reverses as one progresses to higher levels of management. Managers at all levels must rely on interpersonal skills. All right, that's all for this lecture. And the next lecture, we will continue with part 1 we will move on to introduce the history of engineering management. So please read chapter 2 if you want to preview the content. And that's all for today.